If everybody could have a seat or get your place nailed down, we will begin our coffee chat momentarily. Okay, if everybody could have a seat, we'll get started. We got a lot to say this morning, just saying here. Welcome. Thank you for being at the last coffee chat of the year. We've got a great turnout, and thank you all for being interested in our, actually, I should say, not our town, but our region today, because that's what this is all about. We can't make it on our own just here in Cornelius without involving our neighbors. And so here they are today. So if you got any questions about all that growth going on in Huntersville or all whatever's going on in Davidson, that the lack of growth, the 50,000 people that came to Christmas at Davidson this year and all that good stuff, this is your opportunity. So thanks again for being here. We are a pretty close group of mayors here in your North Mecklenburg town, and it's a pleasure to serve you. It really is. Particularly working with this group, many times when we meet and get together, and we do it about, what, folks, once a month or something like that? Yeah, and sometimes more often if we need it. We many times will include Mayor Atkins up in Mooresville because he's creating some of this traffic too, right? So, anyway, that makes it a truly regional effort. So we want to talk to you today. We want to tell you, first of all, about what's going on in our individual towns. And then we want to talk about how we work together. There's many, many projects that we're working together on for the good of our region. And we want you to know about that. And going to have an opportunity for you to ask us questions and be involved in this discussion today. So really, if somebody says anything that really tweaks your interest, feel free just to jump in and ask us. Very informal. And we just really want to have a conversation with the folks. As I see some folks from Huntersville and Davidson and Cornelius here as well. So anyway, it's truly a regional effort and a regional discussion today. So we thank you for being here and being interested in that, because it's very important. So I'm going to, first of all, begin our town updates to my very right with the town of Huntersville. I think Melinda Bales has been mayor for almost 2 years now. Okay, but you're going on. That's right. It seems like forever. She moved into this position after being mayor pro tem in Huntersville, and she served on the board forever. So
full decade.
Yeah, she's got a lot of experience in town government, and she's been a very much of an asset for us to work with. So welcome, Melinda, and we'll go from Rusty after that.
All right. So there's a lot happening in Huntersville. You know, Huntersville is 65 square miles, and we go from the river all the way over to Poplar Tent Road, east to west. So a lot happening. So let me start at exit 25, since that's the closest to Cornelius, and I'm sure you travel through there quite often. And I will start with transportation. At exit 25 in 2026, the interchange is going to be widened and addressed, and then west, 73 west from the interchange to Beatty's Ford Road is also going to be widened. And then in front of Birkdale to Westmoreland will be 6 lanes. And then from Westmoreland to Beatty's Ford is going to be 4 lanes. And then NCDOT will start tackling 73 to the east after that. But that project starts in 2026. A lot of things happening around that exit. I'm sure everybody's might have heard a little bit about Birkdale. and the business expansion that folks want to, the owners of Burkdale want to do. And that is still going through process now, but they're looking to put in a hotel, some Class A office space, and some apartments. And that would obviously be staggered out if it's approved. And then across the street, there's already a hotel that's approved with some apartments, et cetera, over around the Burkdale Landing area. And so I believe they've already turned in their paperwork and are looking to start soon. So that's on that side of the interstate. And then on the other side of the interstate, I just found out, if you haven't ever gone to huntersville.org, I'd encourage you to do so. There's a button called current development projects, and we've got an interactive map. And then you can just sit there, and I can sit there for hours just clicking on it to see what's happening all across Huntersville. But we're getting a quick trip over there off of 21 next to the Zaxby's. So lots of moving things. In addition to the infrastructure on 73 and the interchange, 21 is going to start getting widened from exit 23 to exit 25. And I believe all the way to Westmoreland. And that starts in 2026 as well. So basically what I'm telling you is if you're coming to Huntersville, expect the cones to be out. And be patient. So pack your patience with you as you come. Down at exit 23, the interchange is already underway. We're getting a diverging diamond there and some road widening. 21 will be widened in that intersection as well. And then our downtown, we're looking to revitalize downtown, and we've got a downtown steering committee that's working on that right now. And then in addition to all of that, we've got some fabulous greenways coming. They are supposed to start now connecting the existing greenway in Rosedale and that Torrance Creek tributary that's going to extend all the way to the interstate and under the tunnel, under the interstate. And then ultimately you'll be able to get downtown from that greenway. And then we'll continue that out all the way to the east. And the goal would be for us to be able to have greenway all the way out to Skybrook. And remember when I told you we are 65 square miles? So that's a lot of greenway that we're ultimately going to be putting in. Lots of business growth. We continue to see economic growth in businesses wanting to land in Huntersville. We have roughly 4 million square feet of flex space in process now, whether it's coming out of the ground under construction or just simply approved. So lots of opportunity for people to work and live in Huntersville. We'll say one of the things that I'm looking to tackle in the new year is pulling together an educated group of citizens around affordable housing, because it's something that Huntersville has not had to deal with. When I was first elected in 2011, we had affordable housing options. We had a wide variety of housing choices, and that is slowly disappearing for us. And so we're going to have to start figuring out how we're going to encourage affordable housing. Now, my neighbors here, they've already done a lot of that legwork many years past. It's finally landed in our laps, and hopefully we will pick some of the things that you all have done very well and incorporate that into to our plans for affordable housing. I'll leave it at that because there's a lot happening. So I will turn it over to Rusty for now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Melinda. Good morning. So, Davidson, I can breathe today. Christmas in Davidson is over.
50,000 people?
A little bit north of that, probably.
Wow.
I told somebody earlier, the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, we award the Jack Burney Award, which is a Lifetime Citizen Award for contributions to our town. At that ceremony, we have the Moravian Brass Band. And from the time I hear that brass band for the next 30 days, I'm a kid. And this is my time. I love Christmas in Davidson. My dad and mom were instrumental in helping form this years ago. This was our 35th Christmas in Davidson. You know, it's historically Thursday night is townie night. So most people that live in town go on Thursday night. They don't come on Friday and Saturday because it's too crowded. Thursday night, was a typical Friday or Saturday night. But it just didn't seem as crowded. We moved vendors around. We shifted a lot of stuff to South Main Street to allow our brick and mortar businesses on Main Street to do business and keep the streets open. We got vendors out of the green. We put the rotary trees in the green, and the stage on the library was the only thing there. So it really spread it out more. So even though the numbers were large, it didn't seem as crowded as it's been in the past. But, you know, we'll do a debrief this afternoon at Town Hall, and then we can breathe for a little bit, because there's so much work that goes in. And I just show up and push a button and the lights come on, and then shake hands for 3 days. But it's you know, it's just a great time to be in Davidson when this happens, because it's something that folds residents from the region into town, not just Davidson residents, but Cornelius, Huntersville, Mooresville, Concord, Denver. I mean, people come from Charlotte to Christmas in Davidson. So it's a big deal. It makes Carolina Weekend on PBS. So that's a good thing too. But like I said, we're kind of on cruise control. We have one more board meeting and we're done for the rest of the year too, which is nice. Things that are happening in Davidson are a little different than things that happen in Cornelius and Huntersville. We are so small. We are about 6.5 square miles. So a lot different footprint than my neighbors to the south of me. Our greenways are continuing to grow. We just secured rights of way for 2 property owners out East Rocky River Road, so we can connect our greenway that comes out of River Run to Fisher Farm. If you haven't been out to Fisher Farm in Abersham, we bought a farm from John and Baxter Fisher years ago. That's a natural park. There's mountain bike trails and walking trails. The county bought a failed subdivision called Abersham that adjoins that. So contiguously, we have 450 acres of natural parkland out there. We've got projects that are coming to Abersham this year. We're going to do a pollinator garden. We have several residents that want to raise bees, and our ordinance says that you can raise bees if you're 500 feet away from a neighbor, and that doesn't always work out. Then you've got somebody that's got an allergy 2 doors down, and the bees are drowning in their swimming pool. It's a nightmare. I get those phone calls all the time. So we're going to do a pollinator garden out there as well. Probably the biggest thing going on in town right now, we're almost done with 251 South Street. Mute your phones, please. No. We acquired a little over 2 years ago the old Davidson, what was the Davidson Elementary School. Most people refer to it as the Davidson IB School. It's about a 30,000 square foot building. It was the elementary school I went to. It was the high school my dad graduated from. It was built in the original building was built in 37. It burned, was reconstructed in 1947. It's a historic structure. So we could not just take the shell and delineate all the walls inside. We had to keep the existing walls. If you've ever been in that building, there's this ugly yellow terracotta tile that's about 4 feet up on all the walls. We had to keep the terracotta tile as well. That's part of the historic significance of the building. We could add walls. Those classrooms were, a lot of the classrooms were 20 by 40. So we were able to add space. Right now we've got departments at the pump house down at the covered bridge going into Antiquity. We've got departments at the Sloan House in front of Town Hall. We've got departments in our Town Hall. We have spatial constraints that have now put it at the point where our police officers do their reports in their patrol cars. So we needed space. When the opportunity came to talk to the school board and talk to the county to buy this building, it only made sense. We passed a $14 million bond package 2 years ago, started construction. Construction company says we're going to get our CO December 23rd, but I can promise you nobody in Mecklenburg County is going to be working on December 23rd to give us a CO. So we're looking for January for a ribbon cutting there. And what that building will do is it allows all of our town departments to be under one roof other than Public Works. we'll occupy about 9,000 square feet of the 30,000 square feet. The rest of it is community rooms where nonprofits can meet, where we can rent spaces, where the scouts can meet. We've got a 300-seat auditorium. And I was talking to Paul earlier. This is not Davidson's version of the Kane Center, anything like that. We're going to have this for overflow public input sessions. Will we have music there? Yes. Will we have plays from Davidson Elementary School that are normally held in the gym? Yes. Will we get some traveling municipal speakers that we can fold residents and elected officials from Cornelius and Davidson into that? Sure. But that's really what that's about. So that's gosh, weeks away. So I'm really excited about that. We did keep a single classroom that looks like a classroom, desk and all. And we've got a bunch of donations from folks. I've actually got my dad's high school diploma from Davidson High School and his ring. So it'll be in a shadow box in there. Public art and things like that are being donated by citizens to put in the building as well. Downtown, a lot of people ask me all the time about the vacant buildings on downtown between Mestizo and Kindred that were owned by Tom Clark. We have plans in front of us right now for an adaptive reuse of those buildings. The goal is to keep the front facades of those buildings to achieve historic tax credits and do a tiered new construction project that will have rooftop dining on the first floor, and then it will go up second and third floor to be professional offices. There's a plan right now for a fourth floor that will have about 2,000 square feet of actually 4,000 square feet of residential living. That goes beyond our height requirements, so I don't know where that's going to come in, but that's on the website now, and it's a great looking plan. Former Cornelius Mayor Chuck Travis actually did the drawing. It looks like New Orleans met Charleston, met Savannah, and came to Davidson. So it's a good look. So it'll fit in well. So we look forward to that. Mark Miller, who most Cornelius residents know, has submitted some plans. Bought the old asbestos mill, the Linden Mill, if you will, behind the post office in Davidson, and he's looking sometime this year to do an adaptive reuse for that. And we've talked anywhere from food hall, beer hall. We've got the Hurt Hub right now beside the brick house. We literally could do 100,000 square feet of incubator space and lease it all by 5 o'clock today in Davidson. So we don't know where that's going to go yet. Other than that, I'm going to defer to Woody because I'm on cruise control right now. So it's good that we survived Christmas in Davidson, and thank everybody that I saw on the parade route that waved and said, hey, and it was a good day. So thank you.
Thank you, guys. It's going to be hard to top that, but I'm going to try. And I guess the best thing for me to start with in Cornelius is the Kane Center for the Arts. And I think many of you know that it's going to open on January the 3rd for a public open house. And I hope all of you will come. I walked through it last week and took it to Paul Newton, who's the incoming chair of the Kane boards here with us today. And so if I say anything wrong, Paul, let me know. But it is going to truly be something that this region will be proud of. It's absolutely beautiful. It's elegant in many ways. And I look to Ed Boss right here to my left, who is the donor of a very expensive Bosendorfer piano for the center. I won't tell you the price tag, but it was up there, folks. And Ed was the donor. And so, I'm so pleased with this project. It's something I've worked on even back when I was a commissioner. It started many years ago with a vote from you, the citizens of Cornelius, and about 70% of you approved downtown redevelopment bonds. And thankfully, we have implemented the use of those bonds, and what you see is the Kane Center for the Arts. So that's how that evolved. So we know our citizens like the project. We know they support downtown redevelopment. At least 70% of them said they did. There's a few that probably would think, well, you know, you're just going to create traffic. But anyway, most of our citizens want this facility. So it is on the way and opening on January the 3rd. And please come out and see it. Performances will start. Inaugural season tickets are on sale right now. So not only come and see it, but please support it too, because it needs your support. Kane Center for the Arts Board actually owns the facility, not the town. They program it, and they are in the position of running it. So anyway, let's support them and make this as successful as we possibly can. So once we got that up and running, the town, the region, and primarily the citizens of Cornelius raised $25 million to pull this off. That wasn't easy. I've never had to be challenged with raising $25 million before, but we did it. And that really says a lot for the support that this center ought to have in our town. The next project I'm moving on toward is a Cornelius History Museum. Many of you have heard about that. I see a couple members of my task force here today. But, you know, we've got rich history. Davidson's got a lot of rich history, as does Huntersville. But, you know, they're sort of about the college, and they have ways of displaying it through the college and other ways. But it's important for our little town to be in a position that we can display our history as well. So that is about to come about. We have found a facility that we think will work. And so we're in negotiations with Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools. It's the old ag building at the former Cornelius High School, which is where my mother graduated. So anyway, I don't have her diploma and I don't have her ring, but anyway, I'm going to look for it. So there you go. We've got something to display there, but it's a 4,000 square foot building on the grounds of now Cornelius Elementary. Paul Newton is helping me with that as well. We set up a mayoral task force a few months ago, and it's really taken off. We're in the process of starting to raise money. That's going very well so far. So if you have any interest in supporting the Cornelius History Museum, I think you're going to see another gem here in our community, which is in actually our arts district, which is pretty important to us in conjunction with the Kane Center. So stand by for more information about that. If you want to see this facility, just go right straight down School Street, turn right there at the Presbyterian Church, and go down toward the school, and you can't miss it. It's a 1930s building that many of us in this room, if you grew up in Cornelius, had classes in. I had band classes back in the day there, and I know Ed Boss had a lot of classes in that building. So it's going to be a fun project to head toward, and I think we've got some pretty good support from our citizens on that one as well. But hopefully it could be another public-private project just like Kane Center, and that's why the fundraising piece has to be in place, because we want to do it right, and we want our folks going through that, particularly our kids in the adjacent school, to understand what brought us to the dance, if you will. So more to come on that as we move forward. Other things that's important to me in our region is certainly our transportation. I'm not going to go through the details of what's coming, because you hear that about every time Wayne Heron opens his mouth. So he's working daily on that, and it's progressing. As far as we know, our projects are on schedule, and so you're going to be seeing the orange barrels here. So from south of Huntersville to Davidson, orange barrels are going to be very predominant, and I'm tickled with that. We got to go through a little pain to get it fixed. We're way behind, and I hate it, but many of us have worked hard. These three guys, along with me, down at CRTPO and many other places with state government, our state legislators. Can't tell you how many times I've been to Raleigh beating on the table about these projects, but we are on our way. Some of ours will begin pretty soon now. I think you'll start seeing some work on West Catawba as it relates to the movement of utilities. That'll be the first thing that happens. First thing is buying real estate. Second is moving the utilities. And the third is to start construction. So that's now scheduled for 26, I believe, Wayne. We hope we can push that up a little bit. It's my goal to get that started sooner. But buying this right away has become a challenge in today's times and today's real estate market. So that's what's challenging with that. But we have 13 NCDOT projects coming to our town. That is unheard of in terms of the number. It's in excess of 500 million. Andrew, did I get that right? And we're hoping for more. So we're on that one. Huntersville's got a bunch, many millions coming, 700, 800, something like that. So add all that up, and we're going to do all we can to fix this transportation. Time is of essence. That is for sure, because that really and truly is affecting the quality of our life here. But I drive in it. We drive in it just like you guys drive in it, and I don't like it. And we're going to do something about it. So that's next on the list. As far as growth in Cornelius, you will be seeing a new growth management plan coming out. We have had a select group of citizens that have been working with a couple of our commissioners and Deputy Manager Herron to come up with a growth management plan. That is complete and will be presented here in the next while, going through a lot of public hearings and a lot of public input sessions. So if you haven't had a chance to provide input, you will get that chance, and please do that. So it's a good plan. And we do need to take a pause on some things. We did need to take a pause, and I'm glad we did that. And we're at a point now, I think we can move forward with a reasonable plan that will take Cornelius into the future. So I'm very, very pleased with that. One of my other initiatives this past year, Melinda brought it up a little bit, has been affordable housing. And actually our consultant for that is here today, Roger Walton, and we appreciate all that he has done in directing our mayoral task force on affordable housing. That's a tough one. I'm telling you, it's really a tough one with our average rent in Cornelius. It's probably well over $2,000 a month. It's crazy. And how people live on that, I don't know. But our mission is to make it so our policemen, our firemen, our teachers, our town employees, all of that will have pieces of this puzzle to help them be able to live in the community that they serve. So how important is it for you to see our police officers, drive their car home at night and park in a driveway right here in Cornelius? That's the kind of setting that I think is critically important. So a lot more to come. We have formally formed a CDC in Cornelius, a Community Development Corporation, and that will be the vehicle for us to go out and raise money from governmental resources that are out there and funds and foundations and all that kind of thing to flow into that. Now, many of you are interested in the Smithville project, as I am. It's moving along pretty well. The town has now committed $3.4 million to the Smithville project, plus 300 more in grants that we've been able to access for that particular development. And it is moving along. Nothing moves in government as fast as you want it to, trust me. But things need to be done in Smithville. That's part of our affordable housing initiative. We'll be seeking more funds, and we'll also be working hard to participate with our entire region. Melinda and I have talked about it several times. Rusty and I, we've talked about it as a group. And, we have, I guess, fairly splintered efforts throughout North Mecklenburg to fix affordable housing that I think we need to unite. And, the need for affordable housing is the same in Huntersville as it is in Cornelius or Davidson. And, if we want the folks that work in this region to live in our towns, then we got to provide them a place to live. It's just as simple as that. And it helps our transportation problems because it keeps them off our roads and allows them to either walk to work on our greenways or, get in their car and drive a short distance. So I think it's all about, helping this effort ties right in to our economic development, which is so important to bring jobs to our region. So I spend a lot of time on that. We've got a lot of people interested in moving here. And so, you know, more to come on affordable housing. I think as we can figure out ways we can work together as mayors and towns and town boards, that we're going to be doing that to move this effort forward. We've worked on this many years in Cornelius, and it's gotten nowhere, but now we're determined that it's going to move forward. So anyway, stand by on that one. I can't end without talking about some of our development opportunities that are out there in our town as well. We've got lots. People ask me, I guess, every day about OMB. Is it coming? Well, they tell us it is, and I believe them. It's just a matter, it's gotten delayed a little bit with all the things going on in the construction industry and the cost and things of this nature. So John Marino tells us it's coming. So I believe him. And, you know, until he tells me different, if he tells me different, I'll let y'all know, but count on OMB right now. So that'll be the first phase of some additional development that's planned for that particular area. Also, Rusty mentioned Mark Miller. There is a development that has been presented to the town board that is in our Old Town area. It's right behind Old Town Public House. It's property that's owned by the Cashin family and the Stamey family here in our town. And Mark Miller has presented us a plan to consider that does several things. It does provide some housing. I think he's open to some affordable housing, which we'll be talking about. And it adds some additional retail to our downtown area, which is important. If you look at the buildings that are in our downtown area, you know, one of them's fallen in already. The roof is falling in. They're crumbling. They really are. And that's a problem. I mean, do we want to sit here and watch them crumble and not have a plan to replace that? I'm not sure. But that's in consideration. Your town board is very serious about getting that right. And I don't know what getting it right means. I do think we're working with a developer that's negotiable, if you will. So we'll continue talking and see if we can get it there. I don't know if we can or not, but it is a huge step in our downtown development, which I think is important. Another brewery coming downtown, which is in the early stages of planning, other than OMB. And so once the Kane Center opens, I think you're going to see the downtown area of Cornelius really, really light up. So I better stop with that. I think I've gone over my time here, but anyway, mayors, tell the group how we work together. Melinda, you want to start that? And you know, there's so many ways we've touched on a few things, but let's bring that home and make sure folks understand that we really do work together.
Yeah. I mean, in addition to our luncheons or breakfasts where we sit down and just talk about what's happening within our communities and how we can work together to meet those challenges. You know, we're on the MTC together. So we look at mass transit and the Village Rider. And so we've had conversations around how North Mecklenburg is a transportation desert. We really are. If you don't own a car, it's very challenging for a resident to be able to get around. And I shared this example with Woody and Rusty, I don't know, several months ago. I had a senior citizen give me a call back in July. And she said to me, she'd moved down here a few years ago, moved into assisted living, and she had been driving. And she said, everywhere I've ever lived, there's always been adequate transportation. She said, so I decided I was tired of driving. I didn't want to drive anymore. So I sold my car. And she said, and then I went to get on a bus and there wasn't one. And she said, how do I get to my doctor's appointments? How do I get to Kohl's or to Walmart or to Target? How do I do my everyday business? Still very active. She just didn't want to be behind the wheel of a car. And, you know, I had that opportunity to tell her there's not a quick fix, unfortunately. However, we have been talking at MTC about CATS doing a pilot program up here, and they're supposed to start this next June. So hopefully we'll get some more information in February about an on-demand service. So if you have a smartphone and you've got the CATS app, you would be able to find transportation on demand. So we'll pilot that up here, and hopefully that will meet some of our needs. Maybe that's the silver bullet to the Village Rider, because I can tell you that my own experience, my husband's disabled, and so he doesn't drive very often. So we have one car, and there's a bus stop actually at St. Mark's, so very close to where we live. And he said, you know what, I'm going to get on the CATS app and look and see how I can get to the library. Really love to go to the library. You know, I'm constantly in and out and gone. And so he said, he came back and said, it's an hour and a half for a mile, and maybe a mile to a mile and a half up the road. He said, I would get on the CATS bus at that bus stop, the Village Rider. It would take me into Cornelius. I would have to change buses and then come back down the other side on the other side of the interstate to get to the library. That's not workable, right? I don't think any one of us thinks that that's acceptable. So I give you those two examples of why the work that we're doing at the MTC is so important, because we are constantly advocating for our community and for our residents to have alternate modes of transportation, because we are that transit desert, and we've got to figure this out. We've got too many people who live up here and too many people who don't necessarily need to get in their car every single time they look to go somewhere. So greenways, bus service, on-demand service, we're looking at it all, but the three of us are working on that diligently.
Yeah, one of the things I'll add to all that was truly a regional effort that has paid off, and that is the North Mecklenburg Regional Rec Center. That didn't just happen, folks. We had a lot of citizens working on that. We had government officials, and we finally got some cooperation out of our county commission and got their attention, didn't we? And that is a big deal to our area. I hear great things about that every single day from our citizens, and I'm sure you guys do too. So what else, Rusty?
Well, I think, let me touch on the transportation. The one thing that I've been, when John Lewis just left, I was at a reception for his last day. They took his keys away last week, so he's no longer with CATS. But a rebranding of what the Village Rider is. Most people are not using the Village Rider because of the stigma of it being a bus. And we don't have a nice bus either. It's a dirty old city bus. That's the Village Rider. And we need a shuttle. If you ever see the Village Rider and you see more than 5 people on that thing, call me, because you won't. And the opportunity to do a 20 or 25 person van with the same driver and rebrand it is CATS does a terrible job at advertising itself. I was talking at the reception about this, and I was actually talking to the lady that's their PR person, and I did not know that, but they just don't tell their story well enough for you to realize what's out there. It's no different than this year as we start expanding and pushing forward the bus rapid transit thing to Charlotte. They've got to brand that. We did this when John Anarella was the mayor, before Melinda was elected. We did the express bus service. We launched it at the Park and Ride in Cornelius. Woody and John and I were there for the first day. It was a big deal. Rode to Charlotte. I missed my connector. It took me forever to figure out, because I hadn't been on the bus here, to figure out how to get back up here. But then COVID hit and it went away. All their advertising, the promotion just went away. And it's a good product, but they just don't advertise it, and you just don't know what it's all about. And to Melinda's end, that's inexcusable that it takes an hour and a half to go a mile anywhere up here. So that's what you've got to work on it. And to Woody's end with the affordable housing thing, I mean, that if we don't have a good public transit infrastructure, it's counterproductive to looking for affordable, and I call it affordable living now instead of affordable housing, because it's the stigma on a bus is no different than the stigma with the word affordable housing. It's affordable living. You're talking about folks that that are your teachers, your firefighters, your police officers, business people. If you look at 80 to 120 AMI, you're making 100,000 plus a year, and you qualify for affordable living. So, you know, we work in Davidson every day. We hired, one thing that I wanted to do years after I first got elected 5 years ago, was have an affordable housing director. Right when I took over, our town attorney was also our affordable housing director, which just didn't work. So we hired Eugene Bradley, who is our equity and inclusion affordable housing director, 2 years ago. We count our victories one rooftop at a time. We just did a needs assessment. We need 820 affordable units in Davidson. We can't do that. We've built 22 new homes since I've been mayor. We've bought 8 houses, remodeled them, and sold them back into the affordable housing program. So, you know, it's a battle every day. And I have this philosophical argument with people that say, it's $600,000 to get in to Davidson. Why are you worried about affordable housing? And I just say, as a lifelong townie, corporate America doesn't move you to Davidson. You choose to move there. And if you choose to move to Davidson, you should have that opportunity. So I will literally die on the cross for affordable housing, and I will argue till bricks turn into sand on it, because I believe in it. And as we move forward with development, we will incentivize affordable housing to developers. Right now, our ordinance says 12.5% of everything you build is affordable. Unfortunately, we can't enforce that because the Home Builders Association is a very strong lobbying group in Raleigh. But we try. And if we can give you a little bit more density and you build units on the ground, that's the way it's going to work out. So as we go on. Yeah.
Yeah. When we talk about affordable housing, one of the things I'm changing my verbiage to, which is attainable housing. And I say that because it's not just our police officers and our teachers and our staff. It's also that the CNAs that are in the hospital are, especially having Huntersville Presbyterian or Novant, Huntersville Novant. I keep calling it Huntersville Presbyterian. It's those folks that serve in our restaurants, that work in our stores, the dental assistants, right? It's those people who live, who work and spend most of their days in our communities. They should have an opportunity to live where they work. And so how do we provide attainable options for people? Last week, numbers came out for Mecklenburg. The average median income in Mecklenburg County is $80,000. Now, the truth is that in '99, when I moved to Huntersville, if those numbers were the same, I couldn't live in Huntersville. I wouldn't have lived in Huntersville. I think there are many of us, if that was the median income, we wouldn't be where we are today. So we've got to figure it out. And it's not an easy issue. But I think that if we're working together, and we're working together with the 3 towns and as a region, we can tackle it. There's not a silver bullet. I think there's a multi-pronged approach with everyone I've spoken with in regards to attainable or affordable housing, workforce housing, whatever you want to call it. There's a way to do it, but I think the only way we're going to be successful is if we work together.
Great. And let me add one more item that we work pretty closely on and I'm pretty concerned about, and that's our schools. You know, there can't be enough conversations about our schools. We have the perfect little world here in Cornelius. We have 4 schools, 2 elementary, 1 middle school, and 1 high school. Of course, they serve outside of our particular town. All of them do. But we've got to make sure that education maintains the position it ought to change here in our towns. And that is truly something because it's about North Mecklenburg when you talk about education and the quality of our schools here. You know, we've had I think we would have had some good things going. There's been some changes on the school board. Actually, we're having our current representative, District 1 rep, and the new District 1 rep at our town board meeting tonight to give us an update and some feedback for the future. And all of us will be meeting with our new rep. I think some of you already have. And we have a meeting. I have a meeting coming up with her. And, you know, we really need to lay out our expectations with that. Our schools are pretty good up here. But if you get down into Huntersville, you've got some issues as it relates to North Mecklenburg High School and other things that overcrowding that we're really concerned about. And, you know, we've gotten left out before, folks. I think you know that. And we're not intending on that happening again. So, Melinda?
Yes, that's all right. You know, we kind of Huntersville's goal, and my goal as I work with our school board, is to make sure that Huntersville Elementary and North Mecklenburg High School are both replaced. And, you know, with all of the discussions around House Bill 514 and the MCA, you know, Huntersville is not building a municipal charter school. The truth is that 514, as we've looked at it, sounded great in theory, but in practice is not functional. It's actually one of what I believe is one of the worst legislative pieces of legislation that have come out of Raleigh, because it says you have authority, but it doesn't give you the tools to actually do it. So we're not going to build municipal charter school. But the truth is we don't need to, because we've got charter schools coming out of the ground as we speak in Huntersville. So where I see it, as we collectively, as the North Mecklenburg continues to move forward, it's important that we get CMS to rebuild their schools and then add schools as the growth continues to happen. And they struggle, and I get it. They can't build a new school without COs. So they need a certificate of occupancy. It doesn't matter if I go to them and say, or staff goes to them and says, you know, over on the east side of Huntersville, we've got 500 new housing units that are approved and will be coming out of the ground in a year or 2 years. They can't plan for that. They have to have a CO, which is, I think, something that we probably could be working with our legislators in Raleigh to try to fix that, right? Because how do you they're constantly behind the 8 ball. And then we're constantly behind the 8 ball, right? So there are some things that we need to be doing, and doing it collaboratively to move the needle in education. But from where I sit right now, my prime focus is getting those 2 schools taken down and rebuilt.
And we have one here in Cornelius, with Cornelius Elementary is on that list as well. So, you know, it's my intent for that to happen. And I think the conversations are moving forward, but we got to make sure we're on that next bond referendum.
Exactly.
For sure, because you're not there until you're there. And we got to make sure that happens. So anything you want to add, Rusty?
No, I don't need that. My wife tells me I walk in the house and everything just gets louder. In meeting with our new school board rep, her primary goal is to hire a permanent superintendent. She has lived in this area 11 years and there have been 10 superintendents. And that's part of the problem. If you listen to WFAE, Tommy Tomlinson was talking about the election. He said there was one candidate for school board that wasn't on the ballot. And that candidate changed everything, and that was Ernest Winston. And I loved Ernest Winston as a person. I don't think there was a better advocate for children. He just was fed to the wolves as superintendent. But what happened this last time, you had 3 board members that didn't run and 3 new electeds. And all of a sudden you've got 6 new board members at CMS. So it's a dynamic shift. So it's a good opportunity now to take CMS, which is the largest school system in the state, and make it work.
And collaborate with them, right?
Exactly.
Okay, we've got a few minutes left, and we want to answer any of your questions that you may have. So if, I got one by, okay, good deal. Yes, sir.
I kind of feel feel like we have another town that all of the other towns are a part of, and that's of course Davidson College. And the we got the basketball. Everybody knows the basketball program, but I tell you, all the sports in Davidson right now are just at their peak. The volleyball girls are in a championship deal, and they're playing. They beat Wake Forest. Our football team went up and played Richmond up there in the playoffs there. And so all the sports are just so exciting and so much fun. And what we found out, it's just been a blessing for us, is it's just great to have some of these kids into your home. And it's, they just love to come in and have a meal with a family in the home. And my wife did a high tea one year for the volleyball girls, and they just, they were there almost the whole day. But there's just a real blessing in that school there. We got a new president, just a great guy. It's almost like having another town there. And but Davidson, just think about Davidson. It's just really a lot of fun place.
Thank you, sir. They are, but that's a really good point. That's such a good resource for our region. It's exciting to have these students be interns with. I know that Visit Lake Norman uses them, the Lake Norman Chamber uses them, and I'm sure the Kane Center is going to use them as well as resources to help not only them, but to help these organizations. So yeah, great resource, Rusty.
And you can adopt a student too. We've done it in the past, and it's great to have a student from somewhere else in the country that's away from home. And I know that, I have almost 5 kids through college now. I got one that's a junior at UNCC, and then I'm done. But I've had them from East Carolina to Colorado State. And to have a local family that takes a student in, and you have a meal once a week, or you go to a movie together, it means so much to the kids. And to that end, Doug Hicks is amazing, the new president. They brought him over to my office his first day at work. He wanted to meet the mayor. So he made it I played baseball in college. He made it very clear when we first sat down that he was on the baseball team for 1 year at Davidson, and that was it. But they gave us 30 minutes, and when they came to get him out of my office, I was like, my play date is not up yet. So we just bonded, and he has just immersed himself in the school and in the students and their lives. And I track him on social media, and he doesn't stop. He's just like the ever ready bunny. He's somewhere all the time. I saw him in church yesterday, and he's going to be great for the college. So,
anybody got anything? Yes, Beth.
What is being built on South Main Street? I read different things, but they're pounding holes and all that stuff right now.
That's a project called the Venue. It's how many apartments, Wayne? 70 apartments. The bottom floor is retail, and we're told that it's going to be a nice upscale restaurant in the bottom part. But yes, that's what's going on there. So good question. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am. One of our new citizens here.
I can speak to the affordable housing. I am a career-driven, salary-paid woman, and I have had to live in Statesville for the past 10 years and finally got a chance to move down here where I want to be and where I work, where my son goes to school. So thank you for your efforts with that. Secondly, I wanted to ask about the hotel, excuse me, going across from the Park and Ride, or what's slated.
Sefton Village. So Wayne, you want to answer that? He might have something more current than I do.
Probably not. We are still working with the developer. Actually, there were 2 parts to that development. There was a multifamily and a park, and then there was the hotel conference center. And we are working with the developer on the hotel conference center. They're working through all the things that go into it, the economics, how the convention center works, how it's laid out. So we're still working with them. I would say that's probably a year out from starting construction and probably 2.5 from being open.
No, it will not. It works completely different. But no, it will not replace that. It's its own entity with its own board. It's not part of the town. It works with the town of Cornelius, and it's set up so we can expand it to the other towns should they so choose one day. So that's in place. We took the learning curve on that one and got it in place, and so if the rest choose to follow, we're there for them. So one of the other things I want you to know too is I see the town manager of Huntersville here, the town manager of Cornelius here. Of course, a lot of our staff is here with Cornelius, but you know, our staffs work together constantly. There's probably not a day that there's not conversations or meetings related to that. So, you know, that's been a big plus to get. Of course, Anthony Roberts knows Cornelius pretty well. He spent a few years here. And so he and Andrew Grant worked together for many years, and we all know Jamie. So it's a good group of town managers, which makes us better for the region. I fully believe that. We're only as good as our town staffs in all these towns. So we're very lucky here. Who's got another question?
Before we get that question, since you mentioned staff,
yeah,
can I recognize Chief Kevin Black back there hiding in the corner? As you know, Kevin's retiring, and we're losing our chief, Penny Dunn, as well.
Not yet.
Not yet. Probably going to happen in Huntersville, not sure. But Kevin, thank you for the years you spent here. I appreciate it. And I'm glad you got to be Grand Marshal along with Penny in the parade on Saturday.
They were looking good. Absolutely.
I heard Penny
looking
took
good.
a hard ride at Pot Street and didn't ride through Cornelius. So, any rate, but thank you for your service.
We'll miss him for sure. Absolutely. Did I see a question? Yes, sir.
Thank you. Wayne will probably understand why I'm asking this question more than others, but just curious what role you feel the towns play in the Charlotte water sewer capacity issues we're facing.
Well, I'll start it out, and Wayne can add to it if he would like, but we absolutely will play a role, because that is critical. We're in almost daily conversations with them as well. What happened with recently caught us off guard. I'll be honest with you about that. It really did. I'm not proud of that, but it really did catch us off guard. But I think they're going to right the ship and correct all that. And I'm not sure of the timing of that, but anyway, it's something that does affect our region. Probably Cornelius a little bit less than the other towns. But what would you add, Wayne?
The only thing I will add, and Tim, you probably know this, is that we work with Cabarrus County, and they have the capacity coming online in 24. They started allowing people to submit for permits. Now, what they say is there's no queue, but I think everybody thinks, well, if I get my plan in, I got to be in some kind of queue. So we're hoping that will right the ship. As the mayor said, it doesn't impact us as much. So probably our neighbors know more than what we do. So I might, Mayor, you might ask Melinda or Rusty if they know anything additional.
Okay. Y'all have anything to add? Yeah, I think we feel like that they're on the right path now, but it kind of scared us a little bit there at first. I know my first phone call came from Rusty, and then we talked soon thereafter. So it really impacted some of his projects up in Davidson. So anybody? Yes, sir. Phil?
Just a transportation question. What's the status of the extra lane on 77 that was proposed, supposedly approved, and what's the time frame?
Okay, it's coming. Remind me, it changed, Wayne. The shoulder 26. So it got pushed back a little bit, but it's still there. So, and I think it's funded, right? It is funded. So yeah, I think that'll help us a lot. Anybody else with questions? Okay, before we end, I start out by talking about the Kane Center, and I'm going to end up by handing the mic for 30 seconds to the executive director of the Kane Center, who's a young man that truly has made this happen. He really has. He's the glue that's held us all together, us crazy elected officials and all that kind of stuff. So My thanks to Justin Dion for building something that's going to serve our region, and it's about to open, isn't it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Coming January 3rd, like the mayor said, public event, free for everyone. Going to have a special performance by performers from every town in the North Mecklenburg area, and a special performance by a certain mayor in this area as well. Mayor Knox is going to be performing as part of that. And then, so again, 4 to 8 p.m. Please come, everybody. Free event. And then we're having our founders events there on Thursday, Friday, with a special performance by another mayor in this area. And then we'll have a big grand opening on Saturday, the 7th, featuring full dinner, open bar celebration with a Broadway performer from the original cast of Hamilton. So please get your tickets to that and buy your tickets to everything else as well. So thank you for the opportunity, Mayor, and thank you everyone who supported our project.
Hey,
Thanks.
Mayor Washam, I have one thing that I'm going to interject here.
Yes, ma'am. You go right ahead.
New Year's Eve,
Yes.
December 31st, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. There is the noon Year's Eve celebration and kickoff of Huntersville's 150th.
Wow.
And it will happen in Burkdale, at Burkdale Village. So it's a family-friendly event, and I would encourage everyone to come out for it. It's going to be just a huge opportunity to kick off our Huntersville's anniversary. I like to call it birthday, but anniversary. And we are going to have a year-long celebration. So be on the lookout. I'm sure it'll be in the papers, and we'll have it on our website, and it'll just be everywhere. But just a huge year of 2023 for Huntersville, 150 years old. So please come out for that.
Fantastic. I think our time's up. Maylynn's probably going to get the hook out. So our time's up for today, but we will all stay a few minutes. If you have a burning question that we can help you with, please come on up, and we'll be around for a few minutes. And thank you all so much for being here today. We got a great crowd. I see one of my commissioners. I always recognize our commissioners. Commissioner Sansbury's back there. Did I miss anybody else? I think he's probably representing our town board today. So thanks for being here, Todd. So thanks for watching, those of you that are online watching today and will watch later on. We appreciate that. Wish you the very, very happiest holiday season. We will take January off because of the way the holiday works out. I think we're going to need to take that off. So with our timing, but we'll be back in February. So look for a whole new slate of Connecting Cornelius coffee chats in 2023. Have a great Christmas, y'all.